We are rolling. Hey guys, it's the three-faced amigos again, back at you. Hi GP. Rough game for your Knicks yesterday.
Terrible.
Hi Nick. Rough game for your Wolves yesterday.
Who are they playing?
The world champion Denver Nuggets.
Denver Nuggets. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Market-wise, got a little
Yeah.
greenish around the edges, and China name's pretty big. Anything stand out to you guys today?
Roaring Kitty?
Meme stocks.
Yes. Well, high short interest stocks, right? Let's talk about that. Um, so the question is, can this momentum in the shorts that are being squeezed start to cause some of these base breakouts to move as well, right? Finally get these things going, like let's get small caps moving, which have been sideways to nothing for years, for a couple of years now. So the question here is this enough to ignite some of these names like Carvana, like Roku, like Wayfair to actually start breaking higher out of these bases with a momentum shift? Or is this part of the cycle where the memes are the last one to rise and we are about to experience a epic market meltdown? So that's the question that's been looming in my head. I don't know about you guys.
Well, last time we had this type of attention, let's say, right, was January of 21
Yeah.
when it all started. And the market, if you guys remember as a whole, like specifically bigger names, right? Your mega caps, they weren't doing so great while the meme stocks were going crazy because firms were having to sell things to cover, right? Um, so I don't know how I feel about the rise of memes again, but I know a lot of people are happy and a lot of people are happy and making money. That's cool.
I think so. To me, a lot of things start and end in the same manner, right? Like, especially in the stock market, which is when the shorts squeeze out, it's the final leg out. When it's shorts getting squeezed, it's the final bottom in, right? Like it's something that happens on both sides, right? Like you're realizing the move both ways, right?
Nick,
I mean, I kind of just think it's nothing more than a distraction from I don't know what's really going on. Like on my 800, 900 stocks I have on like my kind of list of just kind of like on my watch list, like half of them were green today, half of them were red, but most of them were well off their lows. There's plenty of stuff that looks great. I mean, there's nothing that's telling me or like that I think it's a period of time where it's not going to pay to be aggressive. But if you're in positions, I don't see a reason to dump them. Maybe, you know, I wouldn't allow green trades turn to red. Kind of not, normal shit. In my opinion, I think a lot is kind of boiled down to what Wednesday. Don't we have a big don't we have a big report Wednesday morning?
Same one that we've had every Wednesday, every month since February and gone nowhere.
Yeah,
Yeah. That one?
CPI.
for sure.
That one?
So I mean, I would just assume that like tomorrow's gonna be a chop day, kind of leading into it. Is kind of all I was going there. But like, I don't know. I think stocks look great.
Mars
I
PPI
think
though.
the indices look great. Uh,
PPI, CPI, and jobless claims. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
yeah, yeah. I don't. I mean, I'm not. I don't find my consult. I don't find myself concerned. I think there's setups all over the place too. So
How do you
if
guys
I
like
was,
AMD? AMD was a name that was down today. Obviously a holy of mine. Um,
yeah,
but not the worst. I mean, there are better setups out there, but here's a name, Nick, that in a let's say a more green than not space was down almost a
I
percent.
mean, at least on stock twits, you've been seeing kind of like Will and even Howard and some of the other guys like kind of mentioning it's like the stuff that is doing well is not what a lot of FinTwit is focusing on, or at least stocks that are moving. Like I think where we're at and however you want to consider this cycle or whatever you want to call it, I think that there is some form of transition happening where I mean I still think the mega caps are going to continue to do well. Like I mean, considering Google for like look how hard Google ripped today. But I think that there's going to be we're going to start to see more. It's a stock picker's market. Like that's just kind of how it's been and how it continues to be. It's not like a dart throwing environment. So it's gonna continue to frustrate people.
I mean,
Now you gotta
Google
just
3% off the day's low.
yeah.
That's a
I
pretty big
it,
move.
it was I haven't really been paying too much attention to AMD. Um, I've been particularly watching Clack, LRCX, and Broadcom, and ARM a little bit, just in the sense that I kind of the way I was looking at ARM was kind of the same way like Roblox played out in 2021. And I just wanted to see I'm not in any of them. Um, but I was kind of looking at ARM as kind of like an indicator on whether or not we were going to continue to see some weakness because that thing rolled pretty hard coming out of that consolidation period. It'll be a kind of a tough hold, I think. I mean, obviously the trade was against that gap low, but I don't know. Yeah,
GP,
I'm
What was that?
any thoughts on some of the red names out there?
Um,
I threw up AMD just because it interests me that it was down as much as it was.
so ever since we got that first higher inflation print, I think it was mid-January, was it? And then we got confirmation in February. Market's been sideways, right? So, and that makes sense. We don't have a direction on the markets. We don't know, like the markets are churning along. We have earnings, whatever, that stuff is happening. But there's no material shift in any of the monetary policies. Fed's in a holding period. They continue to be the talk of the town, yet they're actually not saying anything that's relevant, right? It's like we're gonna hold steady. We're gonna basically screw a bunch of day traders and premium collectors or whatever out of money every week. But ultimately, there's nothing that pushes us higher, right? Like if this week inflation comes in lower for some reason, or if it comes in higher, either one will have like or materially higher, right? It's been like hovering between 0.1, 0.2, and whatever. If one of these things comes in materially higher, if we get an inflation print that's lower and it's like 0.1 lower, you're gonna be in the same kind of stuck pattern, right? Like, okay, well, that's a good sign. Inflation is coming down, but it's not coming down enough. So let's just wait and see, wait and see, wait and see. And that's what you're kind of getting in these markets. And it could be another 6 months like this in terms of could be another 12 months, could be, I don't know. We could
A
just be,
decade.
yeah, that we're just in a holding pattern. And I'm not saying that so like Carvana is one of the few that's actually broken out of its base breakouts. So there's hope for me that things will start to do better, but they're also crushing it, right? Like for them to break out and just stay at the top of the resistance box, not actually break out further after that, is telling you that even after crushing earnings, it's not enough, right? It's not enough to bring it back down yet, but it's also not enough to push it further and break it out of the space. It's holding. Maybe the PPI, CPI, jobless claims, whatever it is, actually releases this, but we'll need confirmation. So I think the market is doing what the Fed is saying, which is we're just holding, waiting to see what happens. And so the market's just going up and down, and there's really no volume. And then you see like things like Netflix straight line up from 540 straight to 624 without flinching and fills the earnings gap. Why did we gap down? Most likely to gather buyers, but most people don't want to hear that. And then the buyers stop buying at 624 exactly. It's like um, it's it's stuff that's just range bound, right? Ultimately. Um, and so I think we're just in a holding pattern, to be honest.
All right.
And that makes sense. Macro doesn't line up yet. Fundamentals they're good enough, but they're not good enough to take us higher. Right? And then you have Apple that's starting to participate. Tesla, I don't know what Tesla's doing, to be honest, but Tesla's just there. Um, it's holding the 50 retrace and the gap fill, but other than that, it's still in a monster downtrend for the year. So it's sideways for a couple of years,
For
but
2 years.
yeah, but it's downtrend since 2024 began. So short-term downtrend, long-term sideways.
Nick, would you be buying Tesla here?
I own Tesla. I didn't add to it. If anything, did I? Yeah, I didn't. I wouldn't be adding to it. I did think that it was gonna kind of hold right here at the gap fill. The 20 days actually curling right here as well. I don't. I think again the real trade is going to be through on a move through 200. I think you're gonna, unless you own it from like and have caught one of those gaps on a near term. I'm not talking again. I'm not talking about bag holders, long term
Yeah.
investors. Unless you caught one of those gaps and have some cushion in it, like there's better setups and better trades out there. And again, I think the trades through 200.
Yeah,
What
I
So
think
what's the better trade out there that you like that over Tesla?
uh
You don't
I
have to tell
mean,
us all, just one.
no, I'm at like Moderna is like my probably one of my favorite setups out there right now.
You've
Like
been on that
I
one
know
for a
that,
couple weeks. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that was my quarterly pick. And I think the next I'm looking to add to it through strength or through that 128, 129. Um I'd be looking to piece out of it as it pushes up towards 160. Uh Ultimately I think it has a 200 magnet on it. Let's see, Twist. I chased Twist today through 44. That was kind of a ripper. I just happened to be, for whatever reason, watching it at the right time. It wasn't really even on my focus list. I think CPNG is still hanging in there and looking great. And then what was the other one that was one of the drug names? STX. I think it's again like a almost ignore the indices and just forget about what's not working and just keep scanning, looking for relative strength and looking for stocks that are busting out of stage one. Either look for stocks that are busting out of their stage one bases or look for those that have kind of either pulled into their 50-day or even back towards like their 150 to 200 day and are kind of setting up for like a continuation move. Busting out of that stage one base, like your main entry is definitely through that next pivot high, or at least where continuation is obviously confirmed. Had a friend text me about AA today. I wasn't in it, but that was a good looking breakout.
That still looks good.
Yeah, Toast was another one that I think is looking great.
Toast.
Yeah, I think that's getting ready to bust out of the stage one base there. It needs to kind of pop and rip from here to really kind of bust out of that base, but
it needs a
you know,
bigger base. I'd
Toast?
say toast needs a bigger base. I don't feel, from looking at the chart, it doesn't feel like a confident breakout. Maybe I'm wrong. Just feels like it's range bound.
I
Yeah,
went to
totally. I mean, I'm
Roblox
not
chart because that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Which one?
Roblox.
Roblox.
Oh
Yeah, or
man, what a
literally 99 other stocks, right? Like,
Yeah.
but like there's when we're looking at when I'm looking at these charts, it's like if I'm comparing this exact same pattern to something like Wayfair, right? Like if you pull up Wayfair, like that to me has the base with the volume that when this breaks out, the likelihood of it. So I'm sorry, not when, the likelihood of this being one of the first few to break out to me
yeah.
is more likely than something like Toast, right? Like it's same thing with I think Rivian, right? Everyone was happy when Rivian broke out, but it didn't break out of a base. It just squeezed higher, and so it came all the way back lower to test and just pissed off everyone in the process, right? Like, but it didn't, like that squeeze there from when it went from what, like 13 or 14 to 30.
Hmm.
That was no one buying beforehand, right? Like there's no buying to support that move. So the likelihood of that being a failure was was almost guaranteed, right? Like I didn't know it was going to come this low, but that's, now you're starting to see volume accumulation, and now there's bases that are being built down in this level that when this gets ready, it starts to move. So I think this is what I like, Nick. Just not, I wasn't picking on you, but just what I'm, not your setup. I mean, it's just what I'm looking for when I see these monster bases, like which one's actually gonna go, right? Like it could be that none of them go, but if one was gonna go, I'd be looking for the ones where there's a solid level of accumulation for the last 2 years, right? Like Square doesn't have any
Yeah,
accumulation, so it's been struggling. Square's been struggling a lot after the initial pop, right?
yeah, I think I mean to your point, like when a stock is in a stage one base or in a base building pattern, you might as well set your alerts for either the breakout or the lows of the base if you are have high conviction in it. Otherwise, you're just asking to get chopped up.
Yeah, absolutely. And even when it breaks
So
out, it
like
will most likely fail, come back and retest the top of the base, right? So even the ones that
yeah.
are strong, like let's say Wayfair, whenever it takes out that 78, 79, it'll probably go pretty, because of the short interest, it'll probably go from 78 to like say 110, 120 pretty quick. But that it'll probably most likely fail as quick, right back into 78, where everyone's gonna be so disappointed, probably undercut 78 or whatever, and then rips higher, right? It's that spring stage kind of move.
Yeah.
AKA they're trying to shake out everyone possible after, like he's like, oh, I've been buying for 2 years. Now you're so frustrated and you just sell out. And you're like, dude, what are you doing?
Shake
Right?
and bake.
If the base breakout fails completely, then get out, obviously. But if it doesn't and it just tests or just undercuts by a little bit, then you have patience.
Yeah.
For example, XLF is a great example, actually. Um, right, let's go to the monthly on the XLF here, right? So it's more visual here. But XLF all the way back to the GFC. If you can zoom out, bags. Right? So this finally took out the GFC highs in 2021 off the COVID, the helicopter money stuff. And then for the last 2 years, it's been building above that base. First attempt to break out of that top of this base of the last 2 years was immediately rejected, right? And now it's starting to break higher. So most likely, if the second one is always more powerful. I don't know if you've learned that, Nick, but the second attempt
Say
is
that again?
usually,
Yeah, it's gonna have more umph.
Yeah.
to it for sure.
It's gathered the people who refused to chase and they wanted it slightly lower right before the breakout. That's who it's gathering. And shaking out the ones who've been miserable for the last 2 years.
Everyone. Well, I mean, if you're still around from March of last year when all the, um, you know, the regional banks were in jeopardy. Well,
Yeah.
not some of them. I mean, yeah, it was, yeah, you're kind of miserable, and to fail a breakout, like you're really hoping that goes this month or soon thereafter, right?
Absolutely. Right. And
Or you see the declining volume and you're going to be worried that, well, this is as good as I'm going to get. Why don't I just sell here at 41?
probably that's the thought process. But to me, it's like, um, this is gonna break out. So what's the news that's gonna get it to break out is my like the way I'm thinking about it, right? Like then again, Wall Street surprised me all the time. I never thought in a million years we would be sitting here on May 13th, 2024, talking about roaring fucking kitty and GME.
AMC even had a huge, I
It's
mean,
just
all of them.
it's
Look at
just
AMC. Look
fucking
at that.
ridiculous, right? Like it's
77.
I love that it's happening because I think shorts have overstayed welcome quite often. But I just like when I saw the tweet last night or this morning, whenever it was, I was just like, "Oh, can we just stop this? Can we just have a normal market?"
I mean,
But
even you got names like Beyond Meat participating. Look at
dude,
Beyond. I mean,
Lemonade
they're
makes like $4 million
17%,
a
right?
year.
Anyway,
Look at Lemonade.
Yeah, Lemonade
Nick,
a big
what
day.
meme do you like?
Look at this. This thing makes like 4 million a year and it squeezed 16% today. It's
Do you
ridiculous.
think that, let's hypothetically say a lot of these pops are short covering?
Oh, they're all
Do
short
you
covering,
think that's
right?
if that's the case, do you think that's indicative of like a bigger move coming
So,
on a broader sense, not just
like
necessarily these names in particular?
that's how we opened, right? With the question of, is it the end of the rally with the final shorts being squeezed out, or is it the beginning where shorts are finally covering and we're going to start to break out of these bases and these names, right? And so
Yeah.
based on the bases, my thought process leans towards, or my bias leans towards base breakouts are coming, right? I think I
Yeah.
posted this morning, which is never thought Roaring Kitty would be the reason IWM breaks out, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
like
Sorry, I was looking up. I didn't know this, and I'm sorry if I'm really late to the party. But AMC had those premium shares 8, and now they've converted. Because I was looking up 8, and it's not there anymore. So I googled it, and now they're converting. They've converted them all to normal AMC shares. So you had this premium share, you get rid of it, and then you convert people back to regular shares. And it was, I guess, December of 22 they announced that this happened. Did you
time
guys
just
know
flies,
this?
man. Time flies.
Did you guys know this? How did I miss this?
I don't follow any of this crap, so no, but I did not know
Yeah.
this.
Oh, anyway, I gotta do some more research on this. That just seems shady, right? You like have this premium preferred shares that you spin off, and then less than 2 years later you kill them.
Why
And
not?
anyway, whatever.
It's
Sorry.
Wall Street. They do whatever they want whenever they want.
Well, that's management, right? That's AMC management.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're all turds.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry to throw the tangent in there. It was just like, what in the hell?
yeah, I think so that's the question I would add. Like, I think that's the question. Is this the beginning of the bigger cycle that we're all kind of so like I don't know. I think I posted this last February or January where I think the SPY is going over the next couple of years, where I think it's going towards, I think ultimately 770, right, is where I think we kind of top out at.
A
And so,
bazillion.
yeah, well, over the next 40 years, sure, but just talking about a couple of years. But so my thought process is we're heading to this towards that 750, 770 kind of extension.
No, don't back down. Say it with your chest. 770, not 750.
Yeah, well, it's right around there, right? Like it can get towards that, but 750 to 750 is a round number, right? So that's why I say it. But if you're gonna
Taking
get to
profit at
770, you get to
750.
800.
You're taking profit at 750. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's probably a point where you do want to take quite, if we get there, it's a point where you want to definitely take a decent amount off and wait for the moment, right? But so if my thought process or my bias is that the market is going towards that 750 area, then this kind of supports that they're finally covering their shorts that they've been winning at for what, 3 years now, like nonstop. Like they're just every time you see like a small pop, it gets destroyed. So it could just be a 1 day wonder. Who knows? But if it's not a 1 day wonder and there's something um, more fundamental here, then they're finally covering the shorts that they've held
So
for so long.
YOLO January SPY 770 calls on the open tomorrow.
Yes, with
Check.
your money, not mine.
Well, yeah, I was giving away $10,000 to both of you to get an investment advice out of you, but I couldn't get it.
What did I pick? I don't even remember.
What did you tell me?
What did we do with the 10K? I can't remember the.
It was such garbage that I just forgot it. It wasn't garbage.
Wow.
It wasn't garbage, Nick. I'm sorry. That was cruel and unusual.
It was probably Tesla.
Yeah, Stock Twits is in the house. Shout out to Stock Twits. Thanks, Randy. Thanks for being here. Jason, Stock, T Stock. The Nest says Roblox has been so disappointing, and I couldn't agree more.
Disappointing is such a nice word.
What a turd. Like full-fledged turd. Yeah, I don't have a lot of commentary on Roblox. The chart still doesn't look great.
What is it? What is it?
Roblox.
No. But what is it?
It's a turd.
It's an IPO.
It's a turd.
Welcome to the IPO hell.
It's a turd.
Yeah, but this is why you wait for the IPOs to base and then you
Well, it's basing. That bitch is basing hard.
Yeah, and she can base forever, right? Like it can never go. So look at
2 years of basing.
If you want to see something that's been basing and never gonna actually go, pull up a chart of
Boeing.
Pollo Loco. LOCO.
LOCO. Los Pollos Hermanos.
What is that?
You don't know El Pollo? We probably don't have it in Minnesota.
No.
No.
Go to the quarterly
It's
chart.
it's like a Taco Bell.
It's
Oh yeah. Okay.
that actually looks like an inverse head and shoulder, but it's still done nothing in a decade.
Did you say go to the quarterly?
Yep. Just so you know how long it's been basing. So things, not all IPOs are made the same. Things can stay in these bases forever. The other one that I think was a pretty famous base for me that had a monster breakout in 2019 after a decade of a basing was LSCC. Right? It's a small semi. But if you go like to the monthly chart, it was an epic breakout once it took out the base.
It's like head and shoulders now.
And it doesn't look good anymore, but it went from $10 to 100.
Yeah.
In 2 years.
I think
right?
it looks great on the month. Monthly looks
I have a question for you guys, but first, we were asked about Boeing. GP, you want me to give your Boeing take, or do you want to give your Boeing take?
They gotta stop killing people.
What's
There you
that?
go. I said they gotta stop. They gotta stop killing people off in the.
So
Yeah,
my
fuck.
take
Allegedly.
my take on Boeing is that the three people on this podcast could be better management. And I don't know anything
Fair.
about airplanes. So
Neither did the former two CEOs, apparently.
bingo. And they've been literally dropping the ball for they announced the 737 MAX problem since 2018. In 2018, it's been 6-7 fucking years, and they're still killing people, allegedly. So it's you can play it if you want. I don't know why you would want to. They're
Anything
never
can
gonna go
trade.
bankrupt.
I don't
It's
have
a
a reason to
duopoly.
like it. That's what I would say. Anything can trade. I don't have a reason to like
Yeah.
It's
it. Okay.
interesting that.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
God.
No.
No, I was gonna say it's just interesting how like I think the Jets ETF looks great. And Delta looks great, but I don't know what else in the airline industry looks great because Save looks
United
like
looks good. United looks good. Royal Caribbean looks good. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
short
Royal Caribbean
Boeing,
Jets.
short
Well,
Boeing by the airlines.
sure.
And so when that trade flips, when you can short airlines, you can probably buy Boeing. When the pair trade flips.
No, that's
But dude,
a idea.
there is nothing on the Boeing chart that says to me that you should be long for more than 5 minutes, right? Like that's just me. There's no
Yeah.
accumulation. It's just been straight distribution, or
I
just
feel like
nothing.
Boeing is one of those plays that you buy like leaps on if you're interested in it. Yeah or no? Like don't you
When
typically
the
take
materials
leaps
shift,
when there's like a
I would do it
say
on
that
a
again?
material shift, right? Like to me, material shift is it takes time to play out, but your leaps will be much better, right? At that point,
Okay.
it could take Boeing 5 years to resolve this stuff. So you want to see the material shift, and everyone's material shift is different, of course, but that's what I would. Otherwise, leaps are just going to expire worthless every year, right? So,
Okay.
like that's just the way I would handle it, but that's me, right? Like look at it, it's done nothing.
Yeah.
Baba.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really known it either. I was
Sorry, Ted got me
yeah,
excited
Ted.
with his Baba. I've been in China
I
for a
know
minute now, so
your JD did well too. Or was doing well.
JD looks great.
it wasn't the best timing I've had in a trade, but I'm glad my Baba trade is paying out now.
Nice. Finally, right? After so much.
Well, I mean I'm not too I mean I got in down here, so I've not been waiting too long. Um but yeah, like it looks good. I want to see it bust through what is that, around 90? I want to see it get through 90. I think that's a weekly something.
I think I want to see the aftermath of the
I'm just making
Baba
shit up. I don't know.
earnings, to be honest, right? Like it's just
Yes,
Yeah.
earnings is this week, right?
it's tomorrow before market open.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh
Well,
shit, really?
that shows you how in tune your boy is with the market these days.
Yeah, so that's it's been earnings have not been kind to it over the last couple of years. So I want to see if that's a character shift, right? If that's now different.
Hopefully it plays out in earnings. Um, oh, my question for you guys. You guys played around with the 24-hour time frame?
No.
Just curious if you've ever done that before.
In stocks, no futures,
HUD?
yes.
I mean, there's not a huge difference. Well, Bob is the wrong chart to look at. Let's just say this spy. It looks just a little different. You don't see all those big gaps, right? Because
Yeah,
pre-market and post-market's incorporated. I don't know. I've been playing with it, especially around on my crypto charts, because I don't rarely use the daily time frame. I'm trying to find a more useful, shorter indicator. I love the 4 hour, but it's nowhere as strong as the weekly or the monthly.
yeah. I use the 24 for futures, not for anything else.
Okay. That was my question. Thanks. I'll hang up and listen to the rest of the show.
Perfect.
Shreya, I think that's how if I butchered your name, I apologize. She likes or he likes snow.
Once again, why? I'm not sure why. I know I've had asked this question before, but this is a stock that so many people are always talking about how it's bullish and um
Base. Looks
no
like a
base. There's
flush
no
chart.
base. It's all
Sure,
red
are you
bars.
do you like snow as a trade or as like as a longer term play?
Me?
Oh, I gotta wait for that answer.
Or are you asking
Sure.
Shreya? Yeah, great question.
I mean, for
Yeah,
a trade, like I
anything can
probably
trade
would disagree for like a pop up to 170 or even maybe even the thing is like if it gets above 180, I'd be in the camp that it's going back towards the high end of the range.
for sure.
Um, so I guess that's more of the question is
It
it
can
more of a
definitely
trade
pop
or term
170 here. That would be a
longer term play?
what is that? Up to 170. Come on, give me my little percentages there. There we go. 7, 8%.
For a longer term play, it's like a kind of like an if then and play by play. I, I I wouldn't have the conviction in a trade like this or an investment like this until it takes out that stage one base and breaks out and actually sticks. Obviously, we saw it break out earlier this year and then completely fail. Well, the positive thing would be if it holds here and doesn't actually collapse towards the low end of the range, that one, let's say the 120s. Um, but like we had kind of been talking earlier in the show, when prices within these ranges are in a stage one base, I don't think there's any real telling on when these things are going to break out. So I'd be taking it like a trade by trade. And here, 1 to 5 years from now.
So I think personally, from what
Sure.
I can see, and I've been wrong about stuff all the time, I think it breaks down.
Yeah, I think I was gonna mention that the last time or earlier when we were talking about it. The stuff that's kind of gonna break down or within within their bases, I think it's kind of worth setting alerts down towards the low end of the range and then wait for like a Wyckoff spring where it spikes the low or takes out that floor and then
Yep.
rallies like a mother right through it. And if that's kind of how I would look at these ranges versus just getting stuck in the middle of the range. Because like, but right here, you're in the middle of the range. Like price could either go up or down, give or take 20 to 40 points.
Yeah,
So
exactly. There's no point. And to me, this is, um, yeah, I would like this is similar to obviously Boeing's a lot worse, but the chart is similar to actually establishing a double bottom, right? Um, so I'd be looking for that 110 to 122 area.
Would you be a buyer at 110?
Um, no, because it's an IPO and a base, right? So that would be the first kind of I would want to see accumulation there, and then it will need to base. And so this is like to me, I look at all these weekly candles and then I go to the monthly and the confirms on each time frame, they all look like sell candles, right? The volume is high. These are big red bars. There's not a lot of green bars here. So to me, they're still in distribution mode. And like I said, I've been
Yeah,
wrong.
well,
I'm not like
I think what would put me in your camp is how bad that breakout failed. Like it looked like it was gonna go stage 2 and then completely failed. What likely is gonna happen is it's gonna spike the lows from here before it rallies is kind of what I'm kind of with you. I think that it's gonna
yeah,
break down from here versus break higher from here.
And this is not financial
But
advice. This is only what
that
we
would
think
also,
would happen and what we would do.
absolutely. This
yeah,
is
for
just a
sure.
chart
A lot of it,
analysis.
overall market direction is gonna have a big play. It's definitely not a leader, so it's not going to be leading the indices by any means. So you're basically at the mercy of market direction, and yeah, I don't. I'm not saying I don't think it's a bad and long term investment, but just not my. Sounds like either of our kind of setup at the moment.
Asim is asking about semis. I like I don't know what your expectation is of semis, but
They look great.
it's
Yeah, they do.
it's more than a quarter of my portfolio, so that tells you what I think about semis.
But they actually look good too, right? Like the chart wise, and it could be that it'll all the semis go 2 days before Nvidia earnings. I don't know. I have no clue what's gonna happen here, but uh they all look like healthy consolidation and flagging here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
I
running out to sell any semis. Actually, I'm a buyer of more AMD and Marvell here.
Earnings this week, Marvell, right?
Yeah, I do know that one.
Yeah. WW. Wait.
Weight Watchers.
I remember Ted, you were short before, so are you asking to if you should cover? Someone was short in the chat before.
Yeah, I think it was the Nest. Yeah,
Oh, the nest.
yeah, I think so. I think he was short.
I don't have a read on penny stocks, so I'll let you guys take this.
I probably wouldn't be shorting here.
Yeah, like what's the point?
I'd let it break that 9 before I re-entered a short. You've got Stoke and RSI curling, and the 9's about to become support. So I'd want to see it fill that if I were to short, but I wouldn't short this. GameStop's up 26% after hours. Oh my God.
Yeah, but that's normal.
Good for them.
Super normal. You know what looks good to me? Redfin.
Oracle.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Redfin.
Thought you were flirting.
RDFAN.
You've been on the
There's
Yeah,
spin kick for
nice
a
pocket
minute
pivot
too.
today.
what's that?
Pocket pivot, he said.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I said you've been on the Redfin for a minute.
I caught the initial squeeze out, and then I've basically I think I sold at 10, right? Or whatever, it was like 980 or whatever it was. And then I've just ignored it ever since, right? Because that was the initial wave out, the squeeze out of the lows, right? And so you knew it was going to chop for a long time, so it wasn't going to be a point to stay into. And so when it came back and held and started to see volume accumulate in this zone, as you can see on that pullback there, right? Wasn't expecting as heavy as a pullback, but whatever. I wasn't in it anymore, so I don't care. Um, it is now starting to build and breaking out here. It's a pretty monster downtrend break. The volume is accelerating here, right? You can talk about GameStop coming out and stuff like that, but if you're looking at the charts that are already squeezing, like Redfin, which high short interest or whatever, I have a different downtrend, but yeah, it's the volume was already increasing in Redfin, and today kind of is now pushing higher, right? But they've been already buying this thing. And so like Roaring Kitty didn't just come today. People have already been buying this thing. So I like where this is going. This
That's
is
your downtrend, right?
yeah, but if you extend that line to the left all the way, it hits a lot of other points on the chart. If you keep going to that point right there in 2020. Yep. Bang.
Oh,
Magic.
I love magic.
Yeah, so this to me is a pretty big kind of when it broke, it never came back. So now it's breaking through and trying here. So I really like this name. It's also really kind of small company ultimately. I think the market cap is 700 million, not billion, million. And so
I
it's
told you we sold our house to a couple who had a Redfin agent.
yeah, it makes sense. And now with the commission structure, rechain, reorg, restructure,
Yep.
they're kind of already in that space, you know?
Yes, sir.
So I like it. I'm hoping I get 32 on it at some point, but who knows? I don't know if I'll be around that long, but
Tim wants to know about iRobot.
oh gosh.
Penny, that's not a penny stock, but it's
The
in
Amazon not
very
buying them or the FCC coming in was monstrously bad.
well. He said they squeezed last time at GameStop, another meme squeeze. So
Oh yeah, yeah. It does squeeze for sure.
yeah, I mean, I'd be bailing probably in the 20s if it were me. But anyone like SN? I don't even know what SN is. Shark Ninja. All right, Randy. Randy with all the surprises.
It popped up on a lot of Market Smith scans, Randy, but I totally
So I have a Ninja coffee maker. They make a really good ice cream maker, but it's an IPO.
We have a blender and absolutely love it.
I'm not buying anything consumer product. Nice chart though, up and to the right.
Love that.
And
Nick, GP just gave that he likes Redfin. What is
Yeah.
it, sir, that floats your boat?
Something that I'm not in currently, or
I don't care. Whatever. Something you're in, or something you want to be in, or something you lust after, or something that you just want to short to zero.
I think IoT is looking great.
IoT. IoT.
Probably at the top
IoT.
of my list currently.
GP
I
gave
like
you
how it kind of
IoT
basically,
way back here.
it was like
yeah,
23.
Way
Yeah.
back here.
and it just I don't know. It continues to kind of base on base, and now it's again setting up at highs.
Yeah. If you're
I have
looking for a
dropped out
good
of
name, have you been
yeah,
watching App as well?
App.
yeah,
Yeah, App Lovin'.
yep,
App. Yeah. App 11. Is
Just
there a
beautiful.
tap? Is
yeah,
that a
beautiful.
Molson Coors? I should have known that. Sorry, I just looked up tap for the hell of it.
Yes.
I have a CCO, but I don't have FCX. I think both of those are looking great. I have no more. I dumped my RGLD. Just wasn't patient enough with it.
Yeah, Pfizer's
Um,
work. Sorry, Nick. Pfizer's working. Brian, you're right. Um, yeah, that looks all right now. What do you think about Pfizer, Nick? We know GP stalls.
yeah,
Dumpster
I
diving.
mean, I think it's got to bust through this 28, 29, then has the 200 day to contend with. But I think you'll probably end up seeing if we continue to see strength in the IBB and XBI, I think we'll probably see this thing squeeze through the 200 day. There used to be this trader on StockTwits. His name was TA. What was his name? He was one of the iBank coin crew guys. His name was John Lee. I've mentioned him on StockTwits before, but like his favorite setup was a gap above like a 50 day or the 200 day. He always looked at those kind of trades as kind of like either gap and goes or just runaway trades. I think that's probably something you could see here in PFE if it continues to kind of break higher or kind of move sideways as the 200 day
I mean,
continues
it
to
gapped above the
hop over it.
20 and the 50.
Does this
Yeah.
market allow gap and goes? Like, I didn't think that was possible.
I I mean, it hasn't until it does.
Yeah.
Maybe once we start seeing them, it'll be a kind of a character change.
We talked about PFE a couple months ago, right? And I think it's one of those names that who cares if it breaks out? It's paying you when it was down in the 25, 26, it's paying you 6.5%, right?
Yeah.
And that's decent. It's based on the chart, the likelihood of it going much lower than that, there was probably something insanely wrong with management. But in a downtrend, that area was most likely going to hold. So whether it goes up or down, you're still going to get, or as long as it stays in this kind of range, you're still going to get tax advantage money by buying PFE and collecting 6.5% dividend, right? So I like it for multiple reasons, and if it goes higher, great, but I could care less, right? So
It does look like it's sitting on a floor here.
it's a monster floor. Go back like 3 decades.
I was looking at the monthly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you were at a point in PFE, like if it broke down, there was something fundamentally wrong. And when it didn't, it was like, all right, well, there's no better risk reward.
Well, it's running into the 9 monthly right now. I mean, you might get another shot down here in the 27s.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little while to recover, but yeah, you're getting paid to wait. If you're
I think
good
as
with
long
that.
as it closes above 25, 28, that's the kind of 1997 breakout. Like I said, multiple decades. Uh, I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah, Jason, to CLSK, I like those too. I just think that they'll follow whatever Bitcoin does, not so much the general, the NAS or the SPY, in my opinion. And I was wondering, like looking at the Bitcoin chart, um, I think you could argue various patterns, whether it's building an inverse head and shoulders here, or if it's going to break down further. Right now, I'm kind of in the camp that we're going to break down farther and spike that, like, I don't want to say we're going to head all the way down to the 200 day, 50K. But I do feel like we're going to spike the lows before we break higher. But then you look at the weekly and it's like, man, we're just building out a nice looking cup and handle too. So I don't know. Obviously, Bitcoin bulls are fucking crazy, and I think we're going to a gazillion. But
Why do you guys like this chart?
I don't.
I think it's about to break
TLSK.
down.
The same thing with Riot and Mara. That's kind of why I'm thinking that they're going. That's why it sort of leads me to believe that Bitcoin is going to spike the lows versus break out here.
Yeah,
what
I
I
don't.
mean?
So based on this chart, that the way I'm looking at it is you had a spike higher with a monster wick on the highest volume it's ever had, ever. and it tried to break that again 4 weeks later, and also wicked off. So, and now it kind of looks like it's it's created a like inverse cup and handle.
On
I
CLS.
don't like this. I wouldn't. I have no. I hope it goes. I hope I'm 100% wrong. But I don't have a huge read on it, and the only read I have on it is to the downside.
Yeah, it looks toppy to me. It's nice, smooth rolling top there. I don't like it. I would stay out.
It's like
If
distributions
I
on.
were in, if it broke 14, I'd be gone.
Yep, that's that prior pivot, right?
Yeah.
1391.
Yep. If it broke 14, I'd be gone.
Yeah.
But
This-
this is not
What
financial.
is the what is the ordeal with all the crypto stuff? Like all I saw was Mark Cuban chirping on, Twitter about so and so
Well, the
not
FTC
protecting
hasn't
investors.
exactly been, or sorry, the SEC hasn't exactly been helpful. I think that's what Mark was saying. Because
Yeah,
there's a
because
risk of
didn't they go
everything.
after Robinhood?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or was
they
that
gave
the
them Mark
FCC?
Wells notices. We talked about that last week, I think, right?
Yeah.
But no, Mark Cuban, Nick, he doesn't. He said if that's why it was so hard to get involved. He's supportive, but he wouldn't be putting any money behind him, just because the SEC wants to make everything a security. And what's the reason to start your own or build your own token now? It's a
Sure.
valid point.
I mean, isn't that ultimately what the crypto community doesn't want though? Like, don't they not want the man's hand involved in what they got going on?
Yes and no. I mean, if it's going to be regulated, regulate and let everybody know the rules of the road kind of deal, right?
Sure.
If it's not, then get the fuck out is kind of my position. There's a lot of people who's like get out, stay out. Um, so yes, that it is damn the man in one sense, but at the same time, like you want it to grow, right? Like you want it to live on and continue to provide value. And the risk is just creating tokens like there have been all these shit coins that influencers get
Yeah.
behind, right? And they're scams. That's what the SEC is trying to stop. But at the same time, it's so prohibitive potentially to get started now because at any moment you could be told to stop by the SEC, right? Like that's
Yeah.
so it's hard. Um, it's you can't be half pregnant.
You're
You're
not
either
gonna please it. You're not gonna please everybody.
yeah,
However this plays out.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Anywho, we're running out of time. We got Microsoft as the last chart of the night. Nick, take a swing.
Yeah, I think Microsoft looks great. I think like Microsoft, Meta, I think they're all looking great.
Dude, Apple looks phenomenal.
Oh my God, Apple looks great. Yeah.
Apple looks like it's about to bust a move.
All these people throwing dirt on Apple.
Like, might as well just buy the FNGU and call it a day.
Dude, like Apple
That's the
just
3X, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
3X levered.
like Apple looks
Yeah.
great. So does Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't look as good, but dude, Netflix looks great. Even though it's not gone anywhere in 4 years, it looks great. It there's a lot of stuff that looks great but not going.
Right.
But yeah, I was like, and Google does this quite often. If you don't know Google's earnings before all the COVID nonsense, I'm talking about years, Google would always pop on earnings and then give it all back immediately. And then the real move comes after. It's how Google's traded for like so long.
Literally forever.
Yeah. So it's the secondary move that's always powerful on Google. So that's another one to be watching here. It 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 gapped up on earnings, gave it all back for the most part, and tried to break higher. And then obviously you saw today's big turnaround. There was a big spike in volume on Friday as well. So they're reaccumulating here after selling the earnings gap. So this is most likely also another one that's going to go higher here. And you have to remember Google, Amazon, uh, Netflix, and Apple not so much, but Google, Amazon, and Netflix are the only ones that are sitting in the mega cap space that are sitting either below all-time highs, Netflix, or right at all-time highs and haven't moved since 2020, 2021, right? So it'll be interesting to see if these kind of busts loose or will they quintuplet top or something. I don't even know if that's a thing. Anyway,
Sure, it can be a thing.
sure, we can just make up things. It's good.
Why not? Well, we're not making this up. We're out of time.
We are.
Thanks everyone for stopping by. We appreciate you, Nick. Thanks for dropping some knowledge, GP. It was great to see your lovely face again today and giving us something to think about with that 750, 770 SPY by January, right?
In the next couple of years, but
Oh, the
yes.
next couple of years. Oh, I'm thinking we've got like 6, 7 months and we're going to go up 200 and some points. Never
It
mind.
gives you
No, I
time to
think
buy the dip.
Take that trade off.
this is more along the lines of where we're ultimately heading, right? It could be a grind. It could be like 10 years by the time we get there, but I hope not.
But importantly, always like, share, comment, give us a thumbs up. I mean, we appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate the love and support. And we will be back with you. This is our normally scheduled time, but Monday, right?
Yeah.
Monday, next Monday.